the Iranian Navy have aircraft carriers?
Iranian Navy had 3 drone aircraft carriers. The Iranian Navy had 11
launch
submarines.
platforms for drones, sure.
They had 11 submarines.
And you've
they
sunk all of the regular Navy. Great, good.
In a sharp critique of the Trump administration's Iran strategy, Senator Chris Coons characterized the maximum pressure campaign as reckless and improvised. By engaging in erratic military brinkmanship, risking security in the Strait of Hormuz, and allowing Tehran's nuclear program to accelerate unchecked, he argues the White House engineered its own crisis. Ultimately, Coons contends that abandoning diplomacy has backfired, isolating the U.S. and fundamentally destabilizing the Middle East.
Senator Coons, if you want to ask a couple questions until he arrives.
Thank you, Senator Murkowski. Mr. Secretary, I'm just going to follow up on the questions I asked in my first round and the questions that had been asked by members of both parties. In my assessment, there was no imminent threat to the United States that justified the president using his Article 2 powers, and there was insufficient preparation to make sure that we had the right troops, the right capability deployed. There used to be a consensus in national security that America should only go to war when there's an imminent threat to our national security, when all other options have been exhausted, and when we have clear objectives and a plan for how it ends. As General Kane testified, the military was given 3 clear goals: sink the Navy, attack and destroy the ballistic missile launchers, and degrade their defense industrial base, and you've accomplished those. But President Trump celebrated regime change after saying that regime change was the real goal. And our NATO allies have delivered. They have allowed overflight. They have allowed projection of force despite not being consulted. You said just a few moments ago, Mr. Secretary, we control the Strait. But it's clear that reopening the Strait of Hormuz for commercial traffic eludes us, in no small part because Iran retains a robust stockpile of cheap, lethal Shahed drones, and they are getting help from our adversaries in rebuilding them. What is your plan for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, Mr. Secretary?
I would just note that the majority of your question was highly disingenuous and loaded with suggestions that I very much don't agree with. From the beginning,
please feel free, sir, to pick any one of those
From the beginning, we've been very clear about the military objectives and the underlying strategic objective, which is preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
Take, for example, the fact that Iranians' conventional Navy, they had aircraft carriers with Shahed drones on them before this started. They had full-on destroyers and battleship capabilities, none of which they have anymore. And
did the Iranian Navy have aircraft carriers?
Iranian Navy had 3 drone aircraft carriers. The Iranian Navy had 11
launch
submarines.
Platforms for drones, sure.
They had 11 submarines.
And you've sunk all of the regular Navy. Great, good.
They retain fast boat capabilities, which they've always had. We understand that, which we can control for and will. We've degraded almost completely their defense industrial base capabilities. The idea that they control anything, you can terrorize something, you can hold it at issue with piracy, as I've talked about at the Pentagon podium time and time again. That doesn't mean you control it. We control what goes in and out, and we control whether or not we have to restart conflict. The president does as well.
Mr. Secretary,
we're the ones that will manage where this goes in the future, and they have very limited ability to set the tempo or respond to it, and that gives the president a lot of options to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon.
The connection between their ability to close the Strait of Hormuz using fast boats and Shahed drones and our strategic goal, shared broadly, to prevent them from ever having a usable nuclear weapon is utterly unclear to me. And my question was, what's the plan for reopening the Strait of Hormuz to commercial traffic, given skyrocketing
shared broadly, but never executed. Shared broadly, but never executed, because previous administration didn't have the willingness to actually do what it would take. And when Iran was at its weakest moments following the 12-day war, but still wanted the pursuit of a nuclear capability, President Trump made the courageous decision to go at their conventional umbrella and shield, which they were using to protect their nuclear program, which we knew came with threats and branches and sequels.
My concern, Mr. Secretary, is that you've achieved a series of tactical successes, but are on the verge of a strategic loss, because we are now negotiating.
I just think it's so foolish. Here we are in a committee in the United States Senate, 74 days in, and you're talking about strategic loss. We have the ability to defeat a 47-year threat of a pursuit of a nuclear weapon. We have more leverage than we've ever had. We've had incredible battlefield successes, and you're talking about a strategic loss, cloaked in disingenuous questions.
Mr. Secretary,
this is how you undercut efforts that could otherwise and are otherwise
I am not your enemy, sir. I am not your adversary. I share your goal of preventing Iran from ever having a usable nuclear weapon. To finish my sentence, control of the Strait of Hormuz, the ability to degrade our partners and allies' gas and oil production capabilities through cheap drones, the ability to harass and harry commercial shipping remains in Iran's hands. And their demands are that we recognize sovereignty for them over the Strait of Hormuz, which I believe our president's rejected, you've rejected, I reject. But my question remains, how do we reopen the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping? If we control it, how do we reopen it? And your average American is seeing this at the gas pump every single day as the cost of gas continues to rise.
Senator Coons, I know that your question has not yet been responded to.
And it deserves an answer.
It does.
But I also
deserve an
understand I'm
answer.
delaying my colleagues. But that's the question that deserves an answer, Mr. Secretary.
We do have Senator Kennedy.
Look, guys, you literally cannot make this up. You have to watch this exchange because Senator Chris Coons is going absolute scorched earth on Secretary Hegseth, and it is exposing the entire establishment playbook. We were promised this military action was strictly about immediate self-defense, but suddenly they are abusing Article 2 loopholes to backdoor a massive regime change with zero actual threat to the homeland. And the craziest part, while these DC suits are bickering in committee hearings over nuclear timetables, with Hegseth getting hyper-defensive and dodging direct questions by calling them disingenuous. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively a parking lot. Yeah, sure, the U.S. wiped out their shiny destroyers and aircraft carriers, but Iran's pirate fastboats are still out there choking off global shipping lanes. The Pentagon claims we hold all the cards and control the waterway. But if that's true, where is the actual plan to restart commercial traffic? Because right now, instead of securing the zone, we're handing Iran a strategic win, while everyday Americans are the ones paying the ultimate price with skyrocketing gas prices at the pump. Drop a comment below. Are you buying Hegseth's excuses? Or is this just another manufactured, endless crisis built on our dime?
Hegseth is threatening an investigation over these comments.
We've been briefed by the Pentagon on specific munitions. Actually, it's been pretty detailed on Tomahawks, ATACMS, SM-3s, THAAD rounds, Patriot rounds, so those interceptor rounds to defend ourselves. And the numbers are, I think it's fair to say it's shocking. How deep we have gone into these magazines. The munitions are depleted.
Hegseth says that Senator Kelly was, quote, blabbing about a classified Pentagon briefing. Senator, what's going on here? Why is Secretary Hegseth threatening to investigate you?
Well, I think it's comes down to it. He doesn't want to be held accountable. They've expended an enormous amount of munitions. And I think the only investigation we need, the one we need right now, is after 15,000 strikes. All we got out of this, we have 13 dead Americans. We got the Strait of Hormuz closed. Gas prices in Arizona are $4.80 a gallon, seem to be heading up. And we have a Secretary of Defense, not only is he ill-prepared, unprepared, unqualified for this job, he doesn't want to be held accountable for the actions.
But do you understand, because I don't, so I'm sincerely asking, what is it exactly that you said that he is alleging was classified?
Well, nothing I said was classified. We had this discussion in an open hearing. When you are going to hit 15,000 targets, you're going to use a lot of munitions. There's things coming off of airplanes. There's missiles that are being shot. You know, they're responding with ICBMs, which we have to take out with, air defense systems. Yeah. Not classified. I mean, 15,000 strikes consume an enormous amount. And by the way, he's asking for $25 to $50 billion to replenish these munitions, where he said it's going to take years. So again, what he's trying to avoid is accountability. This thing is not going the way they expected. They went into this without a strategic goal, without a plan, without a timeline. Now they have no exit strategy, and they're flailing. And when somebody like me starts asking them questions, whether it's I make a point on a show like yours or in an open hearing, they don't want to give specific answers because they probably, at this point, they realize that they've made a number of mistakes.
He, in his post where he said he would open this legal review, into your remarks, he addressed you as captain, in quotation marks. I guess this is a reference to his effort to reduce your military rank, which would lower your pay. He has this case against you. You sued him for violating your First Amendment rights. Where does that case stand?
Well, last week I was at the D.C. Circuit Court, which is the appellate court, because they appealed. I had a preliminary injunction to stop that process. We'll see how that turns out. The bottom line, though, on this, Jake, is this is not about me. This is about 2 million retired service members. And for anybody who listened to that hearing last week, one of the really interesting parts was at the end when Pete Hegseth's lawyer, which is a DOJ lawyer, said that if any service member like myself, who served 20 or 25 years in the military, if they want their First Amendment rights, they should give up their retirement, give up their pension, give up their health care. And then they would be free to speak out. How un-American is that? I mean, people who have given the most for this country are being asked now by this administration, or told, hey, if you don't do this, if you don't shut up, you could lose your pension, you could lose your rank and retirement, and your other option is just give it all up, and then you're free to say what you want. I mean, that's not what it says in the Constitution. And there's no precedent for that in any military law.